Hi, so in today's video, we today will be talking about affliction, right? And is affliction only from the devil, or has affliction been brought upon us for another reason, right? And so I want to first read here from Job chapter 36 in verses 5, starting at verse 5, so that we can now see that there is, other than the devil, that has caused us to have affliction in our lives. And so here we are, Job chapter 36, verse 5. Let's read. It says, God is mighty, but he does not despise anyone, for he is mighty in both power and understanding. Now let's go down to verse 10 to verse 16. It says here, for he gets their attention and he commands that they return from evil. For if they listen and obey God, they will be blessed with prosperity throughout their lives, and all of their years will be pleasant. But if they refuse to listen to God, they will cross over the river of death, dying from lack of understanding. For the godless are full of resentment, and even when he punishes them, they refuse to cry out for help. For they die when they are young, after wasting their lives in immoral living. For by what means of their suffering he rescues those who suffer. For he gets their attention through adversity. God is leading you away from danger, Job, to a place free from distress. He is setting your table with the best food, but you are obsessed with whether the godless will be judged. Don't worry, judgment and justice will be upheld. But watch out, or you may be seduced by wealth. Don't let yourself be bribed into sin. Could all your wealth or all your mighty efforts keep you from distress? Do not long for the cover of night, for that is when people will be destroyed. Be on guard, turn back from evil, for God sent his suffering to keep you from a life of evil. Listen, have you heard that God has sent suffering to keep you from a life of evil? Y'all, I had never heard this. I read this, and there is a situation that God really brought this to my attention because he's dealing with me on. And listen, there is a reason for our affliction other than the devil, right? And so I want to bring today on this video, right, the 3 things that God intends when he inflicts us, right? And so first we're going to start with the discovery of past sins to us. One of the reasons that God afflicts us is so that we can discover our past sin. And he brings it to us, to our remembrance, okay? To show us what we missed, right? That we didn't even know that we had committed this particular sin, which is now causing this affliction. And thanks be to God, he is now bringing it to us so that we may know that we have sinned. Also, so that we can discover that the fact of the sin, right? Not only what the sin is, what caused the sin. You know, a lot of times we've sinned, and it can be something that was a learned thing, right? It was a habit of our parents, or something that we were taught that we didn't even know that we were taught, a way that we act, or we respond, that we did not know was a sin, but it was something that we were taught down through our family line, right? So it also is to discover for us to discover the fact of the sin. Okay? Also, it is so that we discover the fault of the sin. It shows us our transgression against the law of God. Okay? Also, and to see that we have, it's a lot of times to even see that we have gone beyond the measure of sinful. Now we're to the point, we doing this thing, we didn't even know it was a sin. So now we have done this thing, and we're at the point of destruction, destroying even others, because now we're teaching others that way, right? And so affliction sometimes is the answer to the sin, God, which is what God uses, and it serves, however, to awaken our conscience, right? To put it upon us, for us to consider what is going on. What is that the thing that we do when something happens, and we like, wait a minute, what is going on? We eventually, a lot of times, sometimes we just like, oh, we shake it off, but sometimes it can be such an affliction where we like, what is going on? Why is this, right? And so, it is used to awaken our conscience, for us to consider what is going on, so that we can now turn our hearts to receive God's instructions. You have sinned, or whether it's disobedience. You were to do this. God told you to do this, and you've been doing that, and you weren't listening any longer. So now there's an affliction for you to receive present instructions. So he opens your ear to discipline, right? And whom God chastens, he teaches. That's what the word tells us. So also affliction makes us willing to learn, right? It softens our even our flesh to receive what it is that, because now we're going to God to pray. So now it softens us to receive, to humble us, to be like, you know what? Okay, God, what is this? Right? So that is a reason for God to allow us to have affliction. Listen, if you knew this, drop a comment. Raise your hand in the comments if you knew this. And if you did not know this, text, I did not know this. This is new to me, right? So, by the grace of God, he works with us to bring us out of this sin, right? Thanks be to the Lord. He wants to draw us from this iniquity, not just now, even for the future. Because what happens if we continue to do it? What happens? It'll then, if we don't stop doing it now, we'll continue to do it, which will then, what is the wage of sin? Death, right? And so God doesn't want to see us get to that point. So he's now having it brought to our attention to deal with it. And so the affliction is so that it is sent so that we will return from the sin, we will return from iniquity, and we will do the sin no more. right? And that we will make it a resolution that we would never return to it again, right? So, if you knew that affliction was due to a sin, would you take heed more often of yourself, more often of your actions? If this video helped you, I ask that you will like, subscribe, and that you will also share, because we need to know, we need to understand these things so that we can, the things that we're expecting, the deliverance that we're expecting, we can now receive, because God wants us to discover what it is that we have done and turn from that thing and return back to Him and do it no more. So until next time, bye for now.